Ever wonder why some people thrive under pressure while others break? It's not luck, it's science. Welcome to the Mind Performance Podcast. I'm Lindsay Paoli, a therapist and a mental performance strategist. Each episode, you'll get expert insights, real stories from high performers, and small shifts that lead to big results, so you can be better at what matters. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the Mind Performance Pod. I'm Lindsay Paoli, your host, and I'm so excited to bring our guest today, Ilona Pamplona. She is a twice published author, coach, and strategist, helping leaders align who they are with how they work. As the founder of Your Aura at Work, she utilizes human design to transform personal development insights into practical and strategic actions. Her work helps entrepreneurs, professionals, and community leaders create aligned, emotionally intelligent results grounded in clarity and self-trust. Can you see why I'm so excited to have her here? We're in such alignment. Thank you so much for being here, Ilona.
I'm so excited to be here, Lindsay. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we met right before I left Las Vegas, and I was like, oh, this is a bummer. I'm literally moving in like a month, and I'm in the packing time. But I was so fascinated meeting you at this conference with our friend Ashley. Shout out Ashley. And I don't know what it was about you. Like, I've heard about human design over and over and over in the entrepreneur space. I feel like it started really kicking off a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But I was already like, I don't know, like personality typed out. Like, I'd come from psychology where we do Myers-Briggs, and then I was doing like the color personality tests in my own personal therapy. And then I was introduced to the Enneagram, and I was like, I don't need to know anything else about me in order to do this until I met you. And you like, and this was just a chance meeting. Like, we barely talked. We were at a conference.
Yeah.
And she's saying, well, yeah, it would make sense that you do this because blah, blah, blah. And I was like, who are you? What is this? Okay, I'm interested in this human design now. You've got to tell me more about it. So genuinely, talk to me as though I'm like I am and I know nothing about human design, and inform our listeners all about what human design is and where it came from.
Yeah. So human design is, for me, such a fun system. And I personally related, like you said, to another personality assessment. I think there are people in the very original format of the system that are appalled when people call it that. But truly, it helps you understand who you are. And it pulls from a lot of different systems. So it does pull from, ancient systems like the Chinese I Ching, from the Hindu Brahmin chakra system, from the Kabbalah, from quantum physics and astrology. And it puts all this stuff into one system. It goes, this is how your energy works. No matter what happens, no matter what changes in your world, no matter what, this is how you core energetically work. And so what I'm always fascinated by is like people who are non-believers kind of then learning about this because, you talked about the Enneagram, you talked about the Myers-Briggs, a lot of those systems can say like, hey, if you start doing professional development or personal development work, this may change because you evolve as a person.
Yeah.
However, human design kind of goes, you have a core operating system. It's like you're a computer. The way I equate it, it's like, imagine if you're a computer, you're built with certain parts, you're built with certain circuitry, and that's always going to be you. And things can come in and out, but you have a core operating system that can never change, no matter how much, it might evolve in how you express it, but the way your energy work doesn't change. And it really helps you kind of really optimize like how you're using your energy, how you make your choices, how you trust yourself. For me, ultimately, this is also like using this helps you trust yourself in how you move in the world and how you make choices for your life.
I love this. And I know my listeners are like piecing this all together. We had Dr. Shalane Carter a couple of weeks ago talking all about like the connection between quantum physics and a lot of ancient practices. And so it sounds like this is very much in line with all of these things. And, I'm a sucker for optimization. So this is perfect. So before we get into like all the business, this is also just about like understanding the people behind their businesses. So tell us a little bit about you. How did you get interested in this? Where are you from? Who are you?
That is such a big question for me because I've done so much and I had such a big life. I really can say that. So I'm born and raised in the New York, New Jersey area to Latin American parents. I'm multilingual. I speak like 5 languages and I study a whole bunch of others. And for me,
wait. I got to stop you. What are your 5 languages? Because I totally caught I caught all the accents when you were saying all of the different medicines, and I was like, damn, this girl is on it. Okay, what 5 languages do you
English,
speak?
Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, very intermediate French. I also studied a little bit of German in college. Did I say Italian? I think I said Italian.
Yeah.
So basically all the Romance languages minus Romanian. I also have like self-studied Mandarin. I figured out how to read Russian or Cyrillic 2 days into a trip to Moscow when I used to do college admissions internationally. Like I have like a really fascinating way of the language pattern recognition. And I was also raised on astrology. So for me, all of this astrology, human design is kind of like a language pattern that for me was really fun and easy to pick up because my brain was wired to pick up those patterns.
I love that. I talk a lot about neurodiversity, not that I'm like diagnosing you at all, but pattern recognition is something that I, with ADHD, 100% have. And I always tell people like to lean into these strengths because it puts us worlds away from different strengths and weaknesses that the neurotypical might have, you know?
100%. I'm obsessed with it. I remember growing up in the suburbs of Jersey and people being like, you're a little weird. Like you speak all these languages. I'm like, I love it. I'm obsessed. I'm not afraid of this. And I also learned, so I was raised with astrology on top of a multilingual, multicultural environment. And we were raised on this very famous Puerto Rican astrologer. His name was Walter Mercado. There's a whole Netflix special documentary on him. I met him when I was 9. And so like I grew up every day listening to what he said about astrology. So I was like intrinsically, in many Latin American people were raised with him, but I studied him. I took this as like a learning experience. He was a teacher. And, you know, there's a point in everyone's life where you're like, you got to be an adult. You got to get a job. You're in college. You're figuring out your life. And I had like some workplace abuse around my Saturn return, which I didn't know at the time. And in that time, I kind of got back to all those spiritual practices. I got back into astrology. I got back into like understanding spirituality and all of what the world has to offer because I grew up in such a very multicultural place. And even though I had a full-time job, I was really investing a lot of my time and money into personal and professional and spiritual development. And eventually I got into coaching. And one of the things that I noticed when I was coaching people is that they had very specific things that they wouldn't talk about. And when I would pull up their charts, that was in their chart. And so that's how I started getting, right before human design, I was like, okay, let's pull up your chart as a conversation to open the coaching experience because coaching requires me to ask questions. And sometimes you don't know how to answer. You don't even know how to answer. And we can use this chart, which has some data points for me. Astrology is not necessarily a religious thing. It's more of like data points that we can say, this may be impacting you. Let's talk about it. And all my clients really resonated with it. And then I discovered human design. They call it the new astrology, but I'm like, it has astrology. So it doesn't replace it. It just gives us new layers of understanding of how we're made. Like for me, astrology is the psychology of our ancestors, right? Like well before all like the beginning of time, people looked to the stars to really understand the cycles and to themselves. And now we have human design to not only say, here's what's happening on a cyclical pattern, right? Like Mercury's retrograde. Let's be careful of our language. Also, energetically, I'm a human design manifester. I operate very specifically. I have to initiate things. If I don't initiate things, things don't get done, right? Whereas another aura type, there are like 4 aura types with a subtype. You know, every aura type is what we call it, right? They operate very specifically, and yet we're forcing everyone in the world to work, to operate, to relate with other people in the same way. And that just doesn't work. So it really helps us understand high levels of individuation between the aura types. And then there's details upon details upon details. And we can really then individuate a person more to help them, you know, self-develop. And so it's been an amazing coaching tool. And so that's how I got to this.
This is incredible. I was like, oh, I don't want to start typing, but I wanted to start writing notes for it. Like I have multiple questions. So if we organize my thoughts, my first thought is a lot of our listeners come from just a very corporate black and white background thinking. That's very much where I'm trying to develop out of. And so you hear a lot like astrology is bullshit. And like, so what do you say to non-believers of just the basics of astrology? Like you said, that's kind of like your foundational language kind of.
Yeah. So I think there's been a lot like astrology, especially in the world right now, is presented in a very high level, like your sun sign, which is, or what people call the star sign. And so people go by that one data point, but astrology has tons and tons and tons of data points. And so I think what's happened is we lost the nuance of the system. And so people who are more corporate and more logical, who may not resonate with the star sign, are going to dismiss the entire system that can give them a whole battery of information that they don't know about themselves. Like I've done hundreds of sessions over the past few years, like hundreds and hundreds. I mean, it probably 1,000, but I'm not quantifying that way. Numbers, I don't speak. Language and words I speak, numbers I don't. But I've had tons of people who are like that. They're corporate or they're entrepreneurs or they're STEM science people. Mm-hmm. They're like, I don't believe in this, but my girlfriend bought me a session. And then we go into the system. And, their number one point is, I don't resonate with my sign. And then we'll look at their chart, and the only thing they have in their chart in that sign is their sun, but they'll have 5 planets somewhere else. And I'll go deep dive on those planets, and they're like, oh, this makes sense to me. I'm like, yeah, because it's really hard in a magazine on a 5-minute news segment in a blurb to tell you you've got hundreds and hundreds of data points beyond your sun that really tells us about you and how you operate in the world. And so I'm not here to, break someone's disbelief, but if someone's curious, I can show them that there's other data that they could relate to.
That makes sense. And I even like the language that you use is like looking at data points for people who are looking for the science of it all. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned there are 4 aura types. Can you give us the general rundown of human design?
Yes. So there's 4 aura types, but there's one that has a subtype. So generators, we have generators and we have manifesting generators as a subtype. So they all have the same generator aura. So what that means is that on an energetic level, people who are generators are built energetically to trust literally their gut, like embodied feeling and respond. So it's said that the way they operate is they're responding to the world. So like they're literally, I joke, it's kind of like Neo in the Matrix when all the bullets are coming to him, right? Like if generators understood that their aura is open, so everything's going to come to them, and their job is to interact with everything that's coming to them by just only interacting with what's a yes, right? When they really can get in tune with their body and be like, oh, this is a yes. Oh, this is a no. This is a not now, maybe later, but only really focus on what is a yes. That's 70% of the population. Like I joke as a manifestor, that's only 9%. We could really align the world if we got a lot of people trusting their guts when they're making choices and interacting with the world.
So don't tell me my type because I know that you have already looked into mine. I'm going to try and guess mine, but I feel aligned to this one so far because I feel really called to teach people what I've learned about leaning more into my intuition and listening to my body. Mm-hmm. And so I think that that's part of my journey. So we'll see. But 100%. And that's also what I end up teaching as a mental performance strategist is like the more you can hear your body, the more you can maintain your energy, sustain it for things, make the right choices. So this is just helping you to do that from an even higher level, I think.
Well, and you said something about the energy in your body. It's really also important because this 70% generators and manifesting generators, what distinguishes them from the other types is they have one of the centers. So I'll pull up a body graph in a moment to see what it looks like. There are all these blocks, and those blocks are connected by little channels, right? Kind of like a computer, like little blocks held up by circuitry. And there are 9 blocks, but the generators and manifesting generators specifically have this box called the sacral. And the sacral is all about life force energy. And so the idea is that when a generator is really responding to things that are a yes, they'll have consistent access to energy. And then when there are moments when they're like just consistently tired, something feels off energetically, that's a sign that they're interacting with something that's a no. So what your work is really helping generators specifically to make sure they're not depleting or misappropriating their energy by obligation or what is we think is good, but it's not really what we want to do, right? Like that's why I believe why we have so much misalignment in the world.
Yeah. I was chuckling too, because I've always been, since going to grad school, I've been so fascinated with the different language of the exact same things from corporate speak to therapy, clinical speak to, what is this? I want to say spirituality.
Spiritual and personal development. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're saying that you're not in alignment and so you don't have access to that energy source, that would be called burnout in corporate because you're not in alignment. And it would be called depression in clinical speak. But it's all the same thing. And so that gives you access to different ways to treat it without
100%.
pharmaceuticals. So, okay, loving this. Yay. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so then the next largest population is our projectors, whereas the generators have an open aura, everything's coming to them and they get to learn to respond to only the things that are yes. Projectors are what we call penetrating aura. So they're actually popping into other people's energy fields. They're kind of like empathic coordinators. Like they literally can feel everything, but it's in that ability to feel it all that their primary operating system is to feel it out and then guide things into the right place, right? Whereas generators are kind of like, let's interact with the world, let's be lit up, right? Projectors are more like, hey, I want to put things in the right direction. And it's this energetic, empathic coordination that gets them to operating correctly. And one of the things that they have to learn is to wait to be recognized and invited. Whereas a generator could just be like, yes, I want to talk to that person. A projector does best when they're invited. And it doesn't always have to be like, literally, you come here. It could be energetic, from a workplace. Like example could be like, you helped your boss prepare slides for a presentation. You're at the presentation and someone asks a question that your boss can answer and they look at you. That is an invitation to be like, I can help out. Let me support this process. Right. And so learning that you do have, like projectors get to learn they have a very powerful ability to guide and direct the energy that they're feeling, but they must wait because otherwise they're going to basically repel people from wanting to be supported by them. And that's been really interesting for me. Yeah, that's been really, I'm not a projector, but I know a lot of people and I have a lot of projectors in my life who are always like, this person, I don't know why this person won't hire me as their coach, or I don't know why this person doesn't promote me in their team. And it's like, because your job is not to force yourself. It's to be the example.
To be chosen.
And it's not even about being chosen. It's just literally being themselves, the best version of themselves, and allowing the right people to acknowledge them, to invite them to the right opportunities rather than wanting a specific outcome, right? Sometimes it's really difficult.
Yeah.
It's
this is kind of throwing me for a loop. Now I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Well,
I don't like that feeling.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I once read a metaphor that projectors are kind of like Cinderella, right? Like Cinderella was always like this great person, even though her stepmother and stepsisters didn't recognize her. She didn't force herself. She didn't beg to be seen by them. And then the fairy godmother comes and is like, hey, I've been seeing you. You're great. Do you want to come to the ball? And she's like, yes. And then she gets the ball. She just is excited to be out. She's in her best self. And there's a line waiting for Prince Charming, and Prince Charming sees her and he's like, I like her energy. I like the way she's showing up. She didn't have to force herself on Prince Charming while everyone else is forcing themselves on Prince Charming. It's really about being your best self so that the right people can recognize you.
Ugh. Okay. This is really powerful. So I'm also, things that are coming to mind is like people who would be like, what careers would be a great fit for these? So can we do that with each aura type? Like what? What types of careers are we thinking in this? Because I'm thinking coaches and therapists naturally.
Well, that's actually a funny thing. In very, very next high level human design, there are specific planets that tell us what talents we should be developing. But I can give you an example. Like I think because there's so many generators and manifesting generators, like we could just pull from across the board, but like projectors, Taylor Swift is a projector. Kanye is a projector. Mariah Carey is a projector, right? So we have very interesting projector types. I think Queen Elizabeth was a projector. So like, it's not necessarily like the aura type doesn't tell you what you should be doing. It's going to tell you how you do it. I always love the example of Mariah as a projector because, there's been so many times like Mariah hasn't forced herself on anyone. And, they have often tried to get her into J-Lo beef and she literally she doesn't recognize. She's like, I don't know her. Like she does not force herself to be seen by people.
Oh, that was shady. She knew her.
I mean, it is shady, but the thing is projectors don't have to accept every invitation. And so she doesn't literally put herself where she doesn't belong. I'm sure the same can be said about Taylor, right? She has just as many fans. She probably has just as many haters and she's not focused.
For sure.
Like you never see her focusing on the haters, right?
Yeah.
Like projectors need to be focusing on the people that see them. And I think that has been part of the success of Taylor and Mariah because they focus on the people who see them. Whereas Kanye, I mean, he really started getting hung up on people seeing him. Right. And that was his demise as a projector. Mm-hmm. That's my take on it.
Ugh. Okay. How about generators before we move on to our next aura?
Like examples? I got
totally
so
putting
many.
You on the spot too. I'm sorry.
No. It's also good because I have a book and I have examples in my book. So
yes. Wait. Show your book again.
So Human Design Made Easy, it's a very intro guide. It's like the basic. And I think it's just the great starter point for anyone who's getting into this because you can go deep. There's so many systems and so many pieces of information. So for example, Robin Williams was a generator. Jennifer Lopez is a generator. Stephen King is a manifesting generator. Beyonce is a manifesting generator. Madonna is a generator. Dr. Martin Luther King was likely a manifesting generator. So we've got a lot of, and of course I put a lot of entertainment because that's like what we relate to, right? But so like your aura doesn't dictate what industry or what job you do. It's going to tell us how you're going to operate in there, right? So a generator in a job is going to be responding and really being like, they're going to be the people like, yes, I want to do this. You know what? That's not my jam. Can we delegate that to somewhere else? Where a projector is going to be really good at guiding, whether it's, within the team or in the leadership part of the team. They're just going to be really good at directing information. The next highest aura type is the manifester. 9% of the population is manifester. I'm a manifester. That was a little shocking to learn because it's like, that feels like a lot of pressure. Also, I joke that I want to eliminate aura envy because manifestors are not the only ones that manifest. Everyone manifests when you follow what we call your strategy and your authority, which you can find in the book, which is basically like learning this thing about how you interact, right? Manifestors are here to initiate. They're not here to respond. They require a lot of independence to just do the thing. And so some people get very like, we actually have what's called a repelling and closed aura. We're not repelling and closed people. It's just that our aura is not letting everything in or going out. So we really have to like learn to be in our energy to get what we came to get done, right? And so a real fun example for me of a manifestor is Adele. Like she is the perfect example. Like she got her career started. She did her thing. She did what she wanted, how she wanted. And she's like, and I'm done. Like one of the things about generators versus all of the other aura types is that they don't have the sacral. So we don't have consistent access to energy. So, 70% of the population can be relied on to be consistent in using their energy. 30%, like, we don't have that bandwidth to be consistent. And Adele is a perfect example. She's like, I did what I wanted. I initiated my career. I did it exactly how I wanted. And she realized she could not be consistent. And she was like, I'm done. I am retiring. Yeah. And I was like, tell me you're non-sacral without telling me you're non-sacral, right? Like she really knew how to honor her energy. Frida Kahlo was also a manifestor. Maya Angelou was a manifestor. It's really interesting because we've had a lot of like really terrible world leaders as manifestors, like Putin's a manifestor.
I was going to say, don't tell us, but yeah.
Mao Zedong was a manifestor because part of the aura types too is we have when we know that we're in alignment and when we're not. So generators and manifesting generators, when you're doing the thing, you feel satisfied. When you're not doing your energy right, you feel frustrated. Projectors, when they're doing the thing, they feel successful. When they're not doing the thing, they feel bitter. When manifestors are doing the thing, they feel peace. And when they're not doing the thing, they create anger. And so like,
oh my God, let's make Putin feel successful. Let's
make him feel peaceful again. Bring peace back to the male manifestors. I joke. I'm like, I never want to birth a male manifestor. Good Lord. Bad reputation.
Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to look at my kids. I didn't even think of that.
No. But here's the thing. It's all about like learning how your energy works, right? Like if we only taught them to lean into their peace and into the higher aspects of their energy, right? That's the other thing. Everything has its best expression and its lowest expression. And that's where I do believe in free will, that we have the right to explore in this lifetime how we're going to show up with the energies that we're given. So the thing about manifestors is we're here to initiate. We're like literally here to get things started. It doesn't work well when we're told what to do. So it's really about learning as a manifestor how to operate in the world with trusting yourself to do things even if people don't understand. Whereas generators, they're responding to the world, right? And projectors, they can see what needs to be done and guide. Manifestors sometimes are doing the things that have never been done before. And so it's really about like learning how to harness the initiation energy. And there's also about an aspect of informing, because there's mechanics about having a throat that has a motor and being able that when we speak, there's impact. And so there's a lot of responsibility with them. Now, the final aura type is only 1% of the human population. And those are the reflectors. And the distinction is nothing is defined in their body graph. There are gates, but there's no of these blocks. So they're very open and they're very much called like mirrors. However, I like to consider them more like a mood ring than a mirror, because a mirror is just like standing in front of you and seeing yourself. Whereas the projector is like literally absorbing observing and feeling everything out. A reflector is literally kind of like temporarily experiencing what's around them. So like if a reflector is around a manifestor, they're going to feel what it's like to be a manifestor. If they're around a whole bunch of misaligned generators, they're going to be acting like misaligned generators. And so they're like the temperature gauges for the world. They're the mood ring for like what's happening in the collective. And Margaret Atwood of The Handmaid's Tale, the author of The Handmaid's Tale, is a reflector.
That's spot on, huh?
Yeah, right? Like it's like you could like off the bat. It's actually really interesting as well. There's this spiritual guru. Her name is Teal Swan. There was a Hulu documentary on her. She's a reflector. And I actually met her many, many, many moons ago before she was like super viral. And she was like delightful with me. And then on this documentary, she was another person. And I thought, oh, how interesting. She's a reflector, right? She was a reflection of people she was around, right? And so, so like if you know a reflector in your world, you're going to notice that if they're off, there's something in their environment or the people that they're with that are off. So they're really like a global collective group cohort temperature gauge. And so you're going to notice the reflector really being in it, like mimicking the vibe around them. So they're either going to be surprised or they're going to, you know, be pretty overwhelmed by their environments.
And this is just a very small portion of the population, right?
1% of the entire human population. Yeah.
Okay.
They're very rare.
Okay. So we've gone through all 4 aura types. Tell me about how you identify which one you are.
So we use birth time, just like because we're pulling from astrological data and other stuff, we do use the birth time to kind of calculate it. There are a lot of free calculators. I have on my website, yourauraatwork.com, a free calculator. However, I also have some software that helps me play with different times. Because one thing that we talked about is some people don't know their birth time. And so when we don't know a birth time, like knowing your birth time can make, I mean, like being born for 5 minutes in a different, even a minute could change your chart in littlest of ways that matter. However, some softwares, especially for people who do this professionally, have algorithms in the back that help us understand, well, what would change and when. So when we met, our mutual Ashley gave me your birth time so I can share the screen to show you what this chart would look like. So I'm going to share my screen.
And just to clarify, I don't know my birth time because I was born in Spain and we changed my name as my parents got married. And so my birth certificate didn't have my birth time on it because it was like a replica from the military.
Right.
My understanding is I can get it from the government of Spain. I just haven't found that to be necessary. And now I'm actually like, I ChatGPT'd the other day how to get it. So for anybody else looking, ChatGPT has the wonders of AI to help you find out all kinds of things. But when you're figuring out your human design, we talked about the importance of working with someone who specializes in this instead of a lot of the online misinformation, and not even misinformation, but I think that you can go down a million different rabbit holes of trying to, it's like trying to diagnose yourself kind of, right? Like you don't ever want to do that.
Yes. Hopefully, I don't know if you can see my screen. It looks like there might be an issue.
I can.
Okay, perfect. So when you insert your birth data, you will get a body graph, which is kind of like what I call the birth chart of human design. And there's a lot of data, but the primary data we're usually looking at is this first part. So the body part. So we've got 9 blocks. Each of those blocks represents a theme. There are 64 little gates. So you'll see these little lines in certain places and then full ones that connect. So the little ones are gates. They're kind of like gifts that you have. And then when they're a channel, when it's like a full line, like I'm trying to find a full, like this one right here, you've got this full line right here. You've got this full line right here. Those full lines represent very specific talents that you have. And so,
hang on. So I can't see your pointer. Is it the ones that are colored in or no?
Yes. So yes, correct. Thank you for specifying. So if you are watching on the recording, you're going to see that there are like these colored lines coming out of these blocks. When they're half, they're a gate, and those are specific gifts that you come with. And when they're full lines, those are specific talents that you really can lean into in your work and in your life. And so each of those gifts, so there's 64 gifts, 36 specific channels, which are those specific talents, 9 centers. And depending on the configuration is how we get your aura type. So for example, based on this, you're a generator because you've got but at the moment you have, I know the pointer isn't seen, but if you look at the body graph and you can see that little orange box towards the bottom that's in color in orange, that is the sacral center. And the moment you have that, you're automatically a generator aura, whether it's a manifesting generator or a regular generator.
Well, what is a manifesting generator? That's just a type of generator. It's not a fifth aura type.
Correct. So the aura will still work as a generator aura, but the distinction is that some of these centers are motors. And when you're a manifesting generator, one of the motors are connected to the throat. And so for you, Lindsay, you have the throat open according to this body graph and the time that we've kind of configured for you. And so if you had the throat and it was connected to one of the four motors, then you'd be a Manny Gen. And so it means that you're still operating from that response system. But on top of that, there's like a vocal activation that also accompanies the aura type. But the primary operating system is still trust your gut. Because if they're trying to be a manifestor, it's not going to work. They're still a generator in the aura.
It feels vulnerable. My whole world is up on the screen.
I know. And so you'll see like there are different, like all of the gates are related to the planets. And so there's your birth chart are the planets on the one side. And they say that in human design, your soul comes into your body 88 days before you're born. So all the orange lines are these, what we call the design planets or the planets of your soul. And when we bring these together, that's how we create these configurations. Those blocks are only ever highlighted if two things come together. So for example, up here, you have this top and the two triangles on top, they're connected by that right channel. If you only had half ones there, those would not be in color. And so there's a connectivity. There's like, basically you're programmed in this specific way. One thing that I also want to highlight, anything that's not colored in, the goal is not to fill it in, right? Like the goal is not that we want you to get your throat and this side triangle on the bottom right, which is the emotion, or the bottom one, which is the root. It's about learning how do you operate and how do you use this operating system. So in your system, Lindsay, everything that's in color is how you affect people. So ironically, you affect people with your mind and your inspiration, those top two triangles. And here we're on the Mon podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're using the mind is what people receive from you. It's what they're getting from you. Everything that's open is where you're receiving from other people. And so that's how also we create that distinction. You don't need to fill everything in. It's learning that what's defined in you is what we call it. So what's defined in you is what people are going to pick up from you and kind of feel out from you. And where you're open is where you're feeling out the people's energy. And that's also where you guide. They say in human design, your open centers are your money makers. So it's actually what's defined in you is actually not your moneymaker. It's how you're seen and perceived. And then we use those open centers because you're learning about that and then guiding people through that.
That is so spot on based on like what I'm doing right now. I've just been like, I'm just going to do what I'm doing and let people see that, and my people will come to me. Is that right?
And so, that? And let's talk about this. What are people seeing about you? So the top triangle, only 30% of the population has it. And it's all about inspiration. And when you have it, you can self-generate your own inspiration. You're kind of like the trendsetter. And the rest of us that don't have it, the rest of the 70%, it's not that we are not liking trends, we're more of the trend spotters, right? The second triangle is about understanding and logic. So you came here with a specific way of like ideating and inspiring yourself and then understanding what's coming to your mind. Whereas someone who doesn't has a more of an open, flexible like logic and understanding. Now you have the open throat. So it doesn't mean you don't have a voice. It means you're here to learn how to, speak when it matters. And you're also teaching people how to use your voice. Right? It's more about teaching others how to use your voice than you needing to learn how to use it, or like the people need to hear you necessarily. Right. Yeah. And I think that's really sometimes a difficult distinction, because just because you have an open throat doesn't mean you can't use your voice. It's just, what is the purpose, right? You're amplifying other people's voices in the work that you do.
So that has also been a big pivot that I'm considering with the Mind Performance Pod, is like, I don't want to talk to hear myself speak. Like, this is a great opportunity to highlight amazing businesses and women and men that I want to amplify, So, yay. Well, I'm okay. My gut
is getting in alignment, right?
Yeah.
And then the only distinction is just be careful when you feel the pressure to speak, because when you have that open, you might feel pressure to say something, but you don't. So people who have it defined, they don't feel the pressure to speak, but when they speak, there's a perception, like there's something that's coming through there. People
so when I feel the pressure to speak, I should speak or I should not.
When you feel the pressure to speak, I would check in, because you're a generator. I would check in with your gut and be like, do I really need to speak right now? Yes or no? right? Like
Okay.
checking with your body, because we're always going to go back. So fun fact that we didn't really cover, the way we operate is your strategy and your authority based on your aura type. So as a generator, the first thing you're always going to check in is in your body. Body, is this a yes for me? Is this a no for me? Because that's like the first line of like, that's like the most basic operating system or operating mode of your body. So for me as a manifester, if I'm making a choice, like sometimes I have to be like, do I even want to do this? Is this my initiation? Am I trying to respond like a generator to something, right? So that's how that would work. So like when you feel the pressure, check in with your body and say, body, do I need to say this? And that kind of helps you trust yourself in what you get to say. But like, look at you already aligning yourself, pivoting from hearing yourself speak to being like, hey, I want to amplify other people's voices to move my work forward, right? Mm-hmm. Because what you're moving forward is your inspiration and your understanding of things.
I'm like, my job is to kind of like integrate for other people the way that I process other like stories or experiences through my mind. Is that right?
Like when you share what you understand and what inspires you, people are going to pick up on that. That's like, I would say anything that's defined in you is what you want to share in your business, right? You want to share like the inspirations that you get, the things that you understand, which is the work that you do, right? Like in psychology and all of this work that you're doing, it is much about like understanding and unpacking the understanding of this work that you do, because some people don't, right? Some people don't understand, and that's what people are going to receive from you. The next center that you have defined is this diamond, and it's about identity and purpose. So people are going to really pick up on you knowing who you are. Like your clear sense of identity. There's this little triangle to the side. That's the ego center. And that's all about willpower, but also worthiness. And so people are going to pick up on that.
Hang on, wait. You said ego and willpower. Is that right?
So the ego is the name of the center, but it's about your willpower and also worthiness.
Okay. Well, I'm noticing that there's a lit up thing there from triangle to triangle. What does that mean?
Which part?
So we're looking at the little triangle to the right of the diamond, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a blue line then connected to the other triangle on the left?
Yes. So they're still all defined. Anything that's in color is defined in you. Mm-hmm. So that's connecting to the one on the left. And the one on the left is about intuition. It's about, it's also connected to, it's the spleen, and it's connected to intuition. It's also connected to your immune system. So it's about knowing what's healthy for you, what's right for you, but it's more of like an intuitive knowing rather than like a logical knowing. So when you have this, it's like, I joke that people who have this operate sometimes on like I don't know where this is coming from, or like, I know all the data points this way, but I feel like we need to do this. So it's like kind of like that intuition. So people will pick up on like your connection to your intuition, and that kind of like, it's also about like the embodied knowing, right? This intuitive body knowing, which once again is the work that you're sharing with the world, right? Like tuning into your body, to the intuition of your body.
Yeah. Okay. So this is also interesting because I've just released, or I'm in the process of releasing, my newest offer, the Gut Brain Reset, which is all about how I integrate the knowing of taking care of your nervous system through your physiological state, right? Like the way that you eat, the supplements that you take. And that's just an intuitive thing that I've been like studying a lot. And I've had a lot of hesitation. Like, do I put this out there? Is this out of my scope? How do I protect myself? But it is very much like, I'm going to do it. I feel like I need to do it. So I don't know if this is making sense to you. This is making a lot of sense to me.
Yes. And that's what matters, that you're like you're feeling that too, right? Because then the last piece that you have defined is that sacral, and that sacral is that like gut, like that is the like pure, like in your gut. It's a yes. I need to do this. It's like there's this indication typically that when you have that sacral, that square on the second to last square, that when something's a yes, like you feel lit up, like you feel a surge of energy. You feel like your body begins to move. Like people will joke that like, you know, people will be eating things that they love, that it was a yes for them, be like, because their body's just like really activating. So that's like, the sacral is more of like that activation to what you're going to interact with. And that spleen to the left is more of that, I don't know where this is coming from, but like, I really feel like this is where I should do, or this is what I should work with, or this is what I should say. It's more of that, the intuition. So there's like an embodied intuition and this like literal energetic intuitive call to action. So you have both of those. Now, what you have open left is the solar plexus on the right, which is the right triangle. That's our emotional solar plexus. This doesn't mean that you don't have feelings. It means you don't literally operate from them. But what you're really good at is picking up when other people are having emotional experiences. So you're the perceiver and the amplifier of other people's feelings. And that's where you guide and teach your clients. And then the bottom one is really fun because it's a pressure center and it's like, it's the pressure to get things done. It's like a stress center. So often when you have this open, you feel like you need to be in the rush to get rid of like the pressure of doing things. But at the same time, you can teach people where they're putting pressure and stress on themselves unnecessarily.
Okay, wait. So I got to talk about this one because pressure is like a big problem for me. Like I'm super lit up about this project now that I'm trying to launch. But then as soon as people have shown interest, now I'm like, oh, it's the pressure to provide and I need it to be perfect. And it's almost causing me to like freeze.
Yep.
What do I do? Like, does human design help guide me there?
Yeah. So that's an excellent question because there's a lot of nuance, but the highest level response would be when you have an open pressure center, the root, it's really important to realize you're like, there's always going to be something to do, right? So the pressure is not, let's get all of it done right now. It's really learning that you cannot, like, you're not going to get it all done in the moment. It's like really learning how to handle being in the pressure that something needs to get done and then using your sacral to be like, do I really need to get this done right now? Is this a priority right now? Yes or no, right? Because for you as a generator, that's where we would go first. Okay, you've got this stress. Let's check in with your body. Is this the immediate need? Yes or no? To help mitigate that pressure. Because the truth is we're humans in a capitalistic world where everything's going to be piled up on us. We're never going to be done of the to-do list. It's more about learning in your body. So for you specifically, hey, can we trust your sacral to help you say, is this a yes or is this a no in the immediate need? And then learn to manage that pressure. Whereas a projector, like a non-sacral, we will need to look at other things that we have in us to kind of manage that. I actually have a friend who is a manifester. And she doesn't have the root. I do have the root. So we were talking about how it's different to be a man. Like even as a manifestor, we're different. And I gave her, so like there are tangible tools. So I love coupling this work with coaching because I was able to give her the Eisenhower matrix as a method to manage the pressure that she was feeling about her business. Because she's like, I have all this stuff that I need to get done, right? Okay, great. Let's use
Eisenhower matrix.
Oh, the Eisenhower matrix is a matrix of prioritization for business and project management. So it's coupled by urgency and need. And so it really helps delineate what we get to do, what we get to table, where we get to delegate, and where we get to eliminate when it comes to actions. But it really helped her really prioritize where she was putting the pressure of what she needed to do.
Yeah. Very cool. And that's a really good opportunity to point out that if you're interested in this, if this is starting to make some sense to you, if you're trying to read your chart as she's reading mine, you have been so kind as to offer a discount for our listeners for a one-on-one coaching session.
Yeah. So I have one-off sessions and I've offered 15% off so that you can learn a little bit about your human design and maybe come in with a specific thing you're working on. And we can really identify maybe what's in the gap or maybe what geniuses you're not using within your energy that can really take you to the next levels with your goals or with the thing that you're working on. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much. What else do we need to know? Am I missing anything? Can we go ahead and close down this?
Yes, let's stop sharing. We're going to stop sharing. Come back to me. So there's tons. So there's profiles which tell us how we kind of like shine in the world. There's like really going into the gates and the channels. There's even like some of the planetary things that help us understand what's our talent, how we develop the talent. So the newest thing that I've been working with people is, you know, some people really like, oh, I really suck at business. And I'm like, no, do you suck at business or are you focusing your talents in the wrong way, right? Like, are you maybe a client person that's trying to create a product? Right. And so like kind of really like saying, okay, what is your gift and how are we really putting that gift in a way that honors your energy and the talent you're here to develop? And also like, are you doing it the right way? Like I know people who are trying to be a solopreneur and they're actually designed to be with a business partner or in a large organization. And so there's like that level of detail that we could be like, hey, you don't suck. You're just not fully using your energy for you to feel satisfied, for you to feel like you're doing the right thing.
So it truly is like alignment with how you are designed to operate if you're making the right choices and putting yourself in the right places to be your most successful version of yourself.
100%. I come from a education background. I was actually a college admission counselor for 15 years, and I used to watch parents put kids into specific career tracks and seeing the kids just not love it and not be like,
Yeah.
maybe get a job when they graduate, but then like literally go back to grad school to do something completely different. And like, what if instead of forcing ourselves to fit into a role that our parents, our society, our local community says we need to do, we actually honor what am I here to do and how to do it well so that I can actually be of contribution to my family, community, society, or whatever. And so it's a lot of like really honoring who you are as an individual so that you can have maximum global or communal potentials and impact.
This even makes sense for my transition from corporate to becoming a therapist. Like, I think even you just going over my chart and showing like you're here to integrate your mind.
Yeah.
You're not welcome to integrate your mind in a corporate setting. That's not the place to do that.
Well, and I just looked at your talent. So your talent profile is what we call a 4-line, which is a contact talent, which is a client-based, client-facing service talent, right? Like you're here to work with individuals and help them with their individual needs, right? You're here to help a client get to their goal, not necessarily like put something into production or like, you know, so it's really fun.
Is my offer going to flop? Do I have to stay one-on-one?
Not necessarily.
A low ticket offer because my goal is really to be spending more time with my kids, and one-on-one felt like it was draining my energy. So I'm like, let's try other avenues here.
Well, first of all, there are going to be moments where we get to play. I also don't think this doesn't need to be prescriptive. Human design was originally called the human design experiment. So I think the more we experiment with, like, for example, it sounds like right now you're experimenting with trusting your gut. And that is going to be so much more important than like, do you need to do one-on-one client facing, right? Like, for example, I am supposed to be doing more like large scale stuff, but I love my one-on-one clients and I'm not going to eliminate them. But what I got to learn is that if I'm going to take one-on-one clients, I get to be very selective. And that's something that I'm exploring, how to get super selective with who gets to work with me. No matter how I'm delivering my work, like I still want to take on clients and I'm learning selectivity, right? Like once again, there's like details upon details. And so like, there might be an aspect of like the kind of client you were bringing that was draining you, but it also doesn't mean you can't have something that's more like passive income or more automated, right? It doesn't take away. But like in your soul, you might come back to a cycle where you're like, oh, I really miss my clients. Like, who do I really want to help now? Right. That's kind of more.
No, I've always said I'll never get rid of one-on-one. I'll just have fewer of them because I do genuinely love working one-on-one. So.
And I think that's the vibe, right? Like once again, we're in a capitalistic world. We got to make our bag, right? So we're never going to be like, don't do what you need to make your money. And at the same time, what you really came here to do will always call you back and you get to refine knowing your energy, how you're going to deliver that.
And so then just being able to hear that call back, I think is important, right? Like what are ways that we can stay attuned enough to our bodies to hear our design appropriately?
So the core operating system, which I do cover in the book, is our strategy and authority. So every aura type comes with a strategy, and then every individual person comes with an authority. So there are different types of ways that we make. So the strategy is the operating system that I was mentioning, like the responding or the initiating or the waiting for an invitation. That's the first thing that we get to learn to do. That's our strategy. Then we get to experiment with our authority, which is how we make choices. And that's always delineated in the body graphs that you get. So they'll tell you, so because you don't have the solar plexus, you're what we call a pure sacral. So you're a sacral generator or a pure generator. So your whole operating system is trusting your gut. If you were an emotional authority, we would go, okay, is this a yes or no for you? And then can you give yourself at least 24 hours before you make a choice? So for everyone, I say, if you can begin to learn that as like the operating system of the computer that is your energy, then everything else kind of begins to fall into place and you begin to trust yourself to make the choices you're here to make and like move in the world with self-trust.
So when I was researching this, that was my guess as a sacral generator, but I do want to be a manifestor. I do have aura envy. Like you said, I wish I was a manifester. That's okay. I see the strength in what I've got. It also stands out to me that I talk a lot about how to make decisions in that your intuition is always the whisper that keeps coming back. And it's a confident whisper saying the same thing over and over. And when we were saying, I think it's because I'm speaking to generators, not everybody operates that way. It's just how I operate, right?
Yeah.
But that's interesting. Like, yeah, I trust my gut, and a lot of people get very concerned about decision making. And I say that same thing, like, just wait it out 24 hours, a week. It'll keep coming back. It won't be screaming for attention. It won't be distracting you. It'll just be like, how about that podcast? I know that you do a great podcast, and that's something that I talked about is like for over a year, my brain was like, okay, you could do this podcast. What are we doing here? And so here we are.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, right? Like with human design, once you learn your energy as a generator, a pure generator, you might get to the point where you begin to trust yourself to just take that action faster because you know you don't have to wait necessarily. Right. And so those are like the small nuances. I think also there's like timing. We learn about timing. We learn about, ultimately we're all individuals. Like not all manifestors are the same. Not all generators are the same. We have a core way we work, but we're not all like the configuration isn't the same. We have different IKEA maps of how we're built. And so when we learn that, we can really honor how we work and stop like, there's a lot of comparison, right? Like the aura envy. Like I tell people, like, you don't want to be a manifester because I literally got to do the thing every time. Like I need to start it. Like people go like, what the heck are you talking about? What do you mean you're going to do this here? Or what do you, like, everyone's like, always like, what are you doing? And I'm like, if I don't do this, I cannot get it done. Like, right. Yeah. Whereas, generators and many gens, that you are our law of attraction people. Things come to you and you get to interact with them and really trust that what's coming to you is what you need to work with. Right. And so I could say I have generator or envy too, but we're designed exactly how we're supposed to be. And when we honor that, we can actually be our best selves.
Very, very cool. I could literally talk with you for another hour. Genuinely. We will likely have to have you come back because this has been incredible. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad.
I'm trying to think of other questions. I'm like, what did I miss? Oh, I did miss one thing. So I'm trying to ask everybody, like, what is the one small thing that you do to take care of yourself? And this can be unique to your design or just you in general.
No, it really is. Like, I will also say learning your human design can really help you with self-care. Non-sacrals, we don't have consistent access to energy. And one of the things that I really learned the hard way is JOMO, the joy of missing out and not trying to be everywhere and do everything. I really honor, like when I am depleted, really allowing myself to disconnect. And even if, whether it's an hour, an evening, or a month, like I've had months where I just don't call people. Like I try to sleep in when I can, get more rest. And people are like, hey, did you forget I exist? I'm like, no, I had to remember that I did, right? Like I had to remember that I needed to replenish myself, right? Yeah. Because I cannot run like 70% of the population.
Yeah. That's also so helpful for so many of my clients. I'm going to have to start looking into this. Because I tell a lot of them, like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with you. This recovery time, we're all unique. And so hearing that kind of validates to the clients who are listening. Yeah. I told you, let's look into your human design.
Yeah. If you're not sacral, you're not supposed to be consistent. If you have an emotional authority, sometimes you need to wait. Like with an emotional authority, sometimes it could take a year to figure something out. In the world we're in, that feels terrible. But what if you honored your energy, right? Yeah. But if you honored your energy, how much better would it be instead of trying to launch something before it's ready?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ilona. We will definitely be doing this again. And people can find you where? Because they will be searching.
On Instagram, I'm Ilona Pamplona. My website's ilonapamplona.com. If you want to get your free body graph and just play with the times, whether you have it or not, you can go to yourauraatwork.com. There's a free body graph calculator where you put in your information. Not only is there a free body graph, but there's a free one pager that gives you kind of the highlights, like what it means to be a generator, what it means to be your profile, and a little like tidbits about like how you work best. So I love to direct people to the freebie as well.
Awesome. And then just a reminder that there is 15% off in an hour of one-on-one coaching with her. So if you want to get more of a deep dive, you have access to that using the code MINDPOD. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure. And thanks to all of you for listening again. As a reminder, be sure to leave your reviews and subscribe if you haven't so you don't miss amazing drops like this one. Stay tuned for our next episode next Tuesday. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Mind Performance Pod. If you got value today, make sure to subscribe and leave a quick review. It really helps others find the show. As a thank you, grab your free Mind Fundamentals Compounding Consistency Habit Tracker at the bottom of the homepage on lindsaypaoli.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Mind Performance Pod for tips, updates, and behind-the-scenes content. Can't wait to see you in the next episode.